Just across the bay from San Francisco's International Airport with new details tonight on the crash of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 that we have now learned has left 2 people dead and, of course, others fighting for their lives. Take a look at a live picture tonight, even closer than the image right over my shoulder here. This shows the burned out fuselage as that jet still sits just beside the runway here in San Francisco. It comes as new images tonight capturing that plane coming in very low, and then, after skidding, appearing to cartwheel, the nose up in the air before slamming back to the ground. The plane catching fire, driving everyone on board into the field beside the plane. One of the survivors taking this photo as the Sun passengers watch the plane burn. The first look inside tonight, the mangled seats crushed together, the oxygen masks hanging down inside the fuselage. And tonight, this heartbreaking image. The parents of one of the 2 16-year-old girls who died in the crash, learning of their loss back home in China. Tonight, the search for answers is underway. The flight recorders, those so-called black boxes, have been rushed back to Washington already. They're in the NTSB lab there in D.C., and they're in good condition. 291 passengers, 16 crew, 2 dead, 182 injured, 52 hospitalized, and we've learned tonight 8 of them in critical condition, including a child. And here's where things stand right now. We know the investigation underway in Washington, and we'll be turning to that shortly as well. We are taking a look at the moment by moment as this unfolded, and here tonight, our team coverage from San Francisco to Washington, beginning with how this crisis unfolded. Tonight, the aerial view of the Boeing 777, the charred jumbo jet, as it sits off the runway after crashing while coming in for landing at San Francisco's airport. The fuselage, nothing but a giant burned-out crater now, most of the roof gone. The nightmare began to unfold in the final seconds of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 as it approached that runway. It was before noon, 11:27 Pacific time Saturday, when that flight and the pilots were on their final approach. Witnesses telling us it hit the ground with tremendous force, the tail hitting first, just feet from the runway, scattering debris before coming to rest on its belly, roughly 80 feet from the runway.
It seemed to be arriving perfectly, and then all of a sudden, it tilted up. So like 70 degrees, and it landed on its tail. It crashed with a thump, a real loud, like, smash to the concrete.
So many who saw that crash landing echoing one another, saying the tail hit first.
Also the tail hit, all some flames came out, then started turning around like a cartwheel, and then it looked like I couldn't tell if it slid or not, and all of a sudden it was in flames.
And tonight, a clearer portrait of the wreckage, where that tail ended up, sheared off and sitting on the runway. 2,000 feet of debris, further back, the landing gear. And at the beginning of the runway near the seawall, the horizontal and vertical stabilizers ripped off the plane, so crucial to helping that jet land safely. With seconds to spare, the air traffic controllers here knew that the hundreds of passengers and crew on that jet were in trouble.
214 Heavy, emergency vehicles are responding.
11:35 Pacific time, just minutes after Flight 214 began that final approach, it had crashed. Rescue crews now racing to the runway. They arrived to find the chutes already deployed, the flight crews helping the passengers off. Those passengers with life-threatening injuries, compressed spines from the sheer force of the impact. Many of the passengers jumping before the chutes could even inflate. Some of those chutes torn off with the impact. Eyewitnesses watching it all unfold.
Just how fast that we just saw a plane crash.
Police officers on the ground threw utility knives up to the plane's crew so that they could cut through the seatbelts of those who remained trapped. Late today, we were out on San Francisco Bay, the closest view yet of the wreckage, with one of the survivors, Benjamin Levy. You won't forget which seat you were in?
No, I won 30K.
30K?
Yeah.
Very close to the emergency exit?
The very seat next to the door.
Benjamin told me in those final seconds, it seemed as if the pilot was trying to take off again. As you were coming in over the water here in the bay, you said it felt like the pilot was trying to take off suddenly all over again.
Well, yeah, we were literally about to land. Everybody was sitting in their seats, and we're like seconds from touchdown. As we are approaching touchdown, the guy put full throttle on the engine to start to gain some altitude again because probably realized it was too low. And that was too late. The water started splashing everywhere.
In fact, Ben telling me there was a false sense of security on that jet right afterward. Passengers were actually grabbing their suitcases, their bags, because they had no idea that fire was about to break out. This passenger, his arm in a sling as he left the hospital, can't get that sound out of his mind.
The moment it touched the runway, there was bang, and we realized that, something has gone wrong. Something as terrible has happened.
Silence before they all realized they were still alive. And those flight attendants, the heroes trained to get the passengers off, the first 90 seconds so crucial. This image tonight showing the billowing smoke, and as you move in, you can see the passenger windows there, the fire raging inside that cabin. All of the passengers had escaped.
The flight attendant, she was basically organizing emergency exit and preparing evacuation and helping everyone so calmly and professionally. She was helping big men twice big as her and trying to get him out of the plane and helping other people and other crews as well. She was amazing.